Welcome to Authentic with Brazil 201. I'm your host, Brazil 201. And on today's episode, we're going to talk about an article from the annoying intellectual wokeism publication known as The Argument. The piece is called Liberals Don't Have to Lose on Immigration. It is written by a woman named Jerusalem. And my God, everything. So this publication, this I don't know, this abundance Substack. That's basically what it is. The disciples of Ezra Klein, even though Ezra Klein is someone who does not do the woke nonsense, and is very aware of what people perceive as woke and what is annoying of woke. But for whatever reason, everyone who works at this is like the smug elitist that believes their opinions are always right no matter what. And this, in the 10 days this publication has existed, they've done three we need to be more pro immigration type articles within the fact that mass deportation before the El Salvador nonsense was something consistently polling at 60%. And I believe if you exclude the fucking mass deportation stuff, it is probably somewhere still probably above 50%. Yes, sending people to a country they're not from is bad, but people also want everyone who's here illegally kicked out. And this article has like infuriated everybody because I would love to, because I will not run on this in 2028 on a pro fucking immigration platform. I will not, because I live in the real world and I do not care what blue hair activists or intellectual wokes have to say. So anyway, I read the article, the Substack piece called "The Liberals Don't Have to Lose on Immigration." I will link it in the log line. And let me tell you this. This is the most classic liberal brain fog you'll ever see. The whole essay is about numbers, labor shortages, economic models, housing prices, all that. You know what was missing though? Culture. The human reality, the neighborhoods, the assimilation questions, the stuff people talk about at their kitchen tables, on the subway, and not a single acknowledgement that Americans care about whether new arrivals blend into the broader American story instead of creating permanent enclaves. Culture matters more than GDP charts. And this is something, after all the illegals were bust here in 2023, and the MSNBC people and the annoying Ginger and Rachel Maddow and the Pod Save losers were all like, no, the illegals aren't causing problems, they aren't stressing, it's just bad. And people were mad that everyone was just only speaking Spanish, and parts of fucking Queens, even today, look like a third world country. It's kind of like when you watch Narcos or Breaking Bad, and whenever there was a scene in Mexico or another third world country, it was that yellow tint, and it kind of just looks like shit. That is what parts of fucking Queens, still today in Corona Queens, look like because of this, because they are not assimilating. And we're seeing the same issue happen all over the EU. But the EU's problem is different because it's not South American immigrants. It is Middle Eastern immigrants who refuse to assimilate into their quasi-Western cultures, and you're having these enclaves and these beefs. And this goes beyond with hoping people can speak English at a fucking freshman high school level, because I don't even think actual Americans can fucking speak English at a high school freshman level, and that goes before the Zoom stupidity of 2020 and everything else. But let's go start first. Segment 1, mocking the gratitude angle. Right? She keeps painting this Norman Rockwell picture of immigrants as these grateful angels mowing lawns and fixing roofs, smiling at the opportunity to contribute to our economy. First of all, that's not culture. That's a caricature. Nobody's saying immigrants aren't hardworking, but reducing them to cheap labor and importing a servant class is insulting. It's plantation economics in a liberal mask, where the discussion about shared values, common language, or what happens when you end up with communities so isolated they might as well be back in their home country. If you can't walk into a neighborhood in Queens or Patterson without feeling you just left the United States, that's not unity. That's balkanization. By the way, assimilation is not a dirty word, right? She tiptoes around real conversation. Wanting assimilation isn't bad. It's how America has worked for 200 years. Italians assimilated, the Irish assimilated, Jewish immigrants assimilated. Everyone brought their culture, their food, their traditions, but they still folded into a larger American identity. The liberals refuse to even say the word assimilation, which shows how allergic they are to reality. They act like asking someone to learn English or participate in the broader culture is xenophobic. No, it's how a functioning society holds together. Without that, you don't have a melting pot and to exist in this post-racial identity world. As you can see with the Trump 2024 election, he basically tied with Hispanic votes and got 1/3 of the black vote. So if the Democrats are going to keep pushing this identity nonsense and not realizing that people actually want the identity stuff to go away, to be just the American identity. But no, we have this divided buffet table where no one sits together. And then this liberal fantasy of gentle enforcement, right? The author loves her phrase about not in a mean way when it comes to enforcement. Like, excuse me, what does that even mean? Are ICE agents handing out lollipops when they deport people? Enforcement by definition is uncomfortable. You can't soft focus it. That's like saying we're going to evict you from your apartment, but hey, we're smiling, so it's fine. This is like the pronoun check-ins the Bushwick activists who love Zoran like to do. Anyway, this is kind of like a childish framing that ignores the deeper cultural resentment Americans feel. People don't get angry about border chaos because they saw one sad story on CNN. They get angry because their neighborhoods feel transformed overnight without their consent. Okay? Next, the enclaves and the division. Nowhere in her essay does she admit that permanent enclaves create division. Drive around certain parts of the country. You'll see billboards not in English, stores where you literally can't communicate, communities that operate parallel to American life instead of inside of it. And liberals think that's a strength. No, that is a fracture. And when you ignore it, you hand the argument, haha, wink wink, straight to the right. Because the right will say out loud what people whisper. Culture shock matters more than GDP growth. Next, this leadership and the versus pandering. Right, the author keeps saying, Jerusalem keeps saying that a Democrat should respond to backlash. Wrong. Leaders shape culture. If you don't want people panicking, then you should reassure them by showing you value cultural cohesion. But instead, liberals hide behind studies about labor shortages and if construction statistics will calm someone who feels their block, their school, their town is unrecognizable in 5 years. This is why Trump wins on this every time. He doesn't give a shit about people's bar graphs. He gives them gut feelings. And liberals refuse to meet culture with culture. They mock from the ivory tower. This whole essay reads like it was written in a coffee shop in Bushwick with a tote bag full of Paul Krugman columns. It's detached from reality. And it has all the vibes of someone who has actually been in a working class neighborhood in 20 years. Unless they were Ubered there for a panel on immigration policy. Regular people don't sit around debating whether secure communities raised housing costs by 18%. They sit around talking about whether the kids are safe, whether their block feels like their block, and whether new neighbors want to be part of America or just live here while rejecting it. So let's call this article for what it is. An economic fan fiction piece dressed up as immigration wisdom. It ignores the core issue, culture. The American story works when immigrants become part of the story. That's not cruelty, that's patriotism. And liberals can't even say that out loud. And then, yes, you're going to lose on immigration, and you'll deserve it. Okay, that is it. I hate everything the argument has fucking put out over outside Lakeisha's polling thing where it shows, wow, even worse. That, what is it, 55 of Democrats under 35 think it's okay to cut people from your life if they voted for Trump? This is some fucking nonsense where everyone is in their own echo chamber. But then again, I would also prefer if everyone with blue hair who voted for Zoran just went back to whatever fucking flyover state of origin they're from. But then again, if Zoran does win the election because Eric Adams and fucking Curtis Steele refuse to drop out, I know the fucking transplants who voted for Zoran will be back in their irrelevant small town flyover state of origin come 2027 because they're going to get assaulted by some fucking homeless person on their free bus. So congratulations on that.